Welcome you all to my channel Learning with Mansi, where learning English is made easy for the Odia speaking students. So students, today we are going to learn the poem Daffodils from Class 12 CHSE board. Daffodils is written by William Wordsworth. So pilamane tomane dekhi paruthabo daffodils flower which is on screen. It has a bell shaped center and 6 lovely petals. And on the other side, the picture of the great poet of this poem, William Wordsworth. So without any delay, let us understand the details about the poet. William Wordsworth was born on April 7, 1770 and died on April 23, 1850. Is one of the major poets of his time. Se tanko samayro gote best renowned poet thile. ତାଙ୍କ ସମୟ କହିବାର ଅର୍ଥ କ'ଣ? ହି ବିଲଙ୍ଗସ୍ ଟୁ ରୋମାଣ୍ଟିକ୍ ପିରିୟଡ଼. ରୋମାଣ୍ଟିକ୍ ପିରିୟଡ଼ ହେଉଛି ଗୋଟେ ପର୍ଟିକୁଲାର ଟାଇମ୍ ଲିମିଟ୍, ଯେଉଁଟାକି 1798ରୁ ଷ୍ଟାର୍ଟ କରିକି 1837 ପର୍ଯ୍ୟନ୍ତ ଆମେ କନସିଡର କରିପାରିବା. ଆଉ ଏଇ ପିରିୟଡ଼ର ଜଣେ ବେଷ୍ଟ ପୋଏଟ୍ ଥିଲେ ୱିଲିୟମ୍ ୱର୍ଡସୱର୍ଥ. ହି ୱାଜ୍ ଅନର୍ଡ ଆଜ୍ ଇଂଲଣ୍ଡସ୍ ପୋଏଟ୍ ଲରେଟ୍ ଫ୍ରମ୍ 1843 ଟୁ 1850. से 1843 रु 1850 मसीहा पर्यंत विलियम वर्ड्सवर्थ को इंग्लैंड रो पोएट लॉरेट भाबरे सम्मानित करा जायथिला. पोएट लॉरेट माने ओडिया रे जदि कहबाकू गले एटा राजकवि, सेटा गोटे पदवी बा गोटे डेजिग्नेशन थिला. ही डिफाइंड पोएट्री एज spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings arising from emotions recollected in tranquility. Spontaneous kono? Spontaneous mane sudden ba natural, without any effort, without any conscious effort. Overflow kono? जेमति कि आमे कहूछु वाटर टैंक टा ओवरफ्लो होछि, माने वाटर टैंक टा भरी की पानी सेठू बाहरी आसुछि. पावरफुल फीलिंग्स कोन? मनुष्य भितर जो स्ट्रॉन्ग इमोशन थाए, स्ट्रॉन्ग सेंटिमेंट्स थाए, डीप इंटेंस इमोशंस थांती, से जाको हमें कहबा पावरफुल फीलिंग्स. सो वर्ड्सवर्थ सेज पोएट्री इज द ओवरफ्लो ऑफ पावरफुल फीलिंग्स व्हिच हैपेंस वेरी स्पॉन्टेनियसली. ओडिया रे मु बुझेबी याको. कवि कहउचंती जे कविता होची मनरे लुचिकी रहिथिबा सेही सबु गभीर शक्तिशाली भावना मानकर गोटे स्वाभाविक प्रकाश, arising from emotions recollected in tranquility. So what do you mean by tranquility? Tranquility is the calm or peaceful state of human brain. मन जेतबेले शांत होई थाए ना सेही अवस्था को, मनर सेही अवस्था को ट्रैंक्विलिटी कहबा. ताले ए जो स्पॉन्टेनियस ओवरफ्लो ऑफ पावरफुल फीलिंग्स अछि सेटा पोएट्रो ट्रैंक्विलिटी समय रे ही रिकलेक्ट हो पारुथिबार अछि. इट मीन्स टू से दैट पोएट्री जेतेबेले गोटे शांत परिवेश रे अछंती, शांत मन रे अछंती, तांकर पास्ट रो जे कोनोसी गोटे सुंदर स्मृति को से रिकलेक्ट करूछंती. रिकलेक्ट करिबा माने रिमेंबर करिबा बा मने पकेबा समय रे तांको भितरे गोटे स्पॉन्टेनियस ओवरफ्लो ऑफ पावरफुल फीलिंग्स चलीछि. सेतेबेले से जहाँ लिखती ताकू पोएट्री बोली डिफाइन करी हबो. ही इज अ पोएट ऑफ नेचर एंड यूज्ड कॉमन वर्ड्स टू एक्सप्रेस हिज फीलिंग्स. स्टूडेंट्स, नाउ लेट अस डिस्कस अबाउट द रियल इंसिडेंट बिहाइंड द पोएम. द पोएम डैफोडिल्स ओरिजिनली टाइटल्ड आई वंडर्ड लोनली एज ए क्लाउड. पिला माने एई पोएम रो प्रथमे टाइटलटा थिला I wandered lonely as a cloud, जोटा कि एक्चुअली ए पोएम रो फर्स्ट लाइन. इट वाज इंस्पायर्ड बाय अ रियल एक्सपीरियंस. ए पोएम टा कोनोसी इमेजिनरी पोएम नुह, एटा तांको रियल लाइफ इंसिडेंट, रियल लाइफ रो एक्सपीरियंस. On 15 April 1802, Wordsworth was working with his sister Dorothy Wordsworth near Ullswater in the beautiful Lake District, England. से इंग्लैंड रो लेक डिस्ट्रिक्ट रे थिबा अल्सवाटर लेक पाखरे, अल्सवाटर होची से लेक रो ना बा ह्रद रो ना, से ह्रद पाखरे 1802 मसिया एप्रिल 15 तारिख रे तांको सिस्टर डोरोथी वर्ड्सवर्थ को सहित वंडर करुथिले बा एमती एमलेसली एणे तेणे बोलुथिले. They saw a long belt of golden daffodils fluttering and dancing beside the lake. Dorothy later described this scene in her diary, and her description deeply influenced the poem. वर्ड्सवर्थ आउ सिस्टर डोरोथी दुई जन जितेबाला चलुले से यही सुंदर दृश्यटी को से देखी एवं प्रथमे डोरोथी सिस्टर ही ये जो व्यू बा जो सीन सीनिक ब्यूटी को डायरी रे मेंशन करथिले जोटा कि विलियम वर्ड्सवर्थ को पोएट्री लिखिबा अधिक इंस्पायर करथिला. The poem was written in 1804 and published in 1807. ए पोएमटा 1804 मसीह लिखा जाइथिला एवं 1807 रे पब्लिश करा जाइथिला. आउ ए एक्सपीरियंसटा केबे हेतिला 1802 मसीह रे. Let us read and understand the warm up. This poem incorporates the ideas and aspects essential to romantic poetry. Meaning, this poem reflects the main ideas of romantic poetry. Romantic poet माने especially nature, imagination, emotion, beauty उपरे अधिक गुरुत्व देउथिले. The field of daffodils is evidently the subject of this poem, making nature the most apparent feature throughout. ए कविता रे daffodils फूल मानकर गोटे मुख्य विषय रही. पूरा कविता रे प्रकृतिर चित्र ही आमको देखा जाए. वर्ड्सवर्थ बहुत सुंदर भाव में ये डैफोडिल्स फूल मानकर वर्णना करिसेंती. वर्ड्सवर्थ एड्स ए रेंज ऑफ नेचुरल इमेजेस सच एज लेक्स, ट्रीज, स्टार्स एंड इवन क्लाउड्स इन दिस पोएम. वर्ड्सवर्थ विभिन्न प्रकार नेचुरल रिप्रेजेंटेशन जेमिति कि ह्रद, गछ, तारा, मेघ भली प्राकृतिक चित्र व्यवहार करी शांत और सुंदर परिवेश को सृष्टि करिसेंती. थ्रू नेचर ए ट्रैंक्विल मूड इज इंस्टेंटली क्रिएटेड फ्रॉम द वेरी फर्स्ट लाइन, आई वंडर्ड लोनली एज अ क्लाउड. सो स्टूडेंट्स आमर ए पोएम रो फर्स्ट लाइनटा होची आई वंडर्ड लोनली एज ए क्लाउड. ए प्रथम लाइन रो ही गोटे शांत मनोभाव आम मानक मध्य रे सृष्टि हे जाउची. The atmosphere of the poem is very peaceful and the use of nature creates a joyful setting. Not until the poet later muses about what he saw does he fully appreciate the cheerful sight of the dancing daffodils. Meaning, at first the poet simply sees the daffodils, but later when he thinks deeply about that moment, he truly understands and appreciates their beauty. Study the poem and note how Wordsworth glorifies the beauty of nature and the bliss of solitude. चलो एबे कविताटी को पढ़िबा एवं बुझिबा किपरि भाबरे वर्ड्सवर्थ एही पोएम रे प्रकृतिर सौंदर्य को हाइलाइट करिसंती, ता संगे संगे बुझेइछंती जे एकाकित्व रे मध्य गोटे आराम अछि, गोटे खुशी अछि. Stanza 1. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high over vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils, beside the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high over vales and hills. Students, here wandering means to walk aimlessly, purposelessly, or without any direction. कारण बिना लक्ष्य बिना एणे तेणे घूरी बुलिबा. Float means भासिबा, or in English to move gently. O''ER it means over. पिला माने एठी poetic contraction use हेची. Poetic contraction means when a word is clipped or cut to maintain the rhythm of the line in a poem. Vales means valleys. Here the poet says that he was walking alone once without any companion, without any aim or direction. He compares himself to a cloud that gently moves and freely moves alone in the sky. कवि ନିଜକୁ ଆକାଶରେ ଏକା ଏକା ଭାସି ଯାଉଥିବା ମେଘଖଣ୍ଡ ସହିତ ତୁଳନା କରିଛନ୍ତି। When all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils. Here, crowd means a large group of flowers and host means a large number of something. Suddenly, something caught the attention of the poet. He saw a large group gathered together. What was that? That was a host of golden daffodils. से सुंदर गोल्डन शाइनी डैफोडिल मनकर गोटे ग्रुप को बा गोटे बहुत संख्यार गोल्डन डैफोडिल्स को ऑल ऑफ ए सडन एठी राइटर देखिछंती। कोउठी देखिछंती? Beside the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. The flowers were growing near the lake and under the trees, making the whole place look peaceful and attractive. Let me tell you the meaning of fluttering. Fluttering means moving lightly in the wind or a side to side movement. पिलामाने butterflies जेमती तांको डेना झाड़ंती से मोशन को कुहा जाय fluttering. The flowers were moving gently in the soft wind. It seemed as if they were happily dancing in the breeze. Breeze means gentle wind. Summary, stanza 1. In this stanza, the poet describes how he was wandering alone, feeling free and detached like a floating cloud in the sky. As he moved over valleys and hills, he suddenly came upon a breathtaking sight, a vast field of golden daffodils growing beside a peaceful lake and beneath shady trees. The flowers were fluttering and swaying gently in the soft breeze, appearing as if they were joyfully dancing. This unexpected and beautiful scene transformed the lonely atmosphere into one filled with happiness, liveliness, and natural beauty. Stanza 2. Continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way, they stretched in never-ending line along the margin of a bay. 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. Continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way. Students, here continuous means without stopping. Ba jahar anto nahi, jahar seso nahi. Twinkle means to shine with a flickering light. Julu julu aluare dhap dhap heba. In these two lines, the poet says that the daffodils looked endless, just like the countless stars that shine brightly in the night sky. The beautiful daffodils were shining, and then he compares them to the stars that sparkle and twinkle in the Milky Way galaxy, creating a beautiful shining effect. देखो एठी कवि कहउछंती जे जेपरी रातिर आकाश रे असंख्य तारा चमके सेहीपरि भाबरे डैफोडिल्स फूल माने मध्य अति सुंदर भाबरे असीम देखा जाउथिले आ बहुत सुंदर भाबरे से माने मध्य ट्विंकल करूथिले बा धपधप होउथिले. They stretched in never ending line along the margin of a bay. Margin means the edge of something like a bay. Margin of a bay माने उपसागरर सीमा भाग. जो पार्टक मु एठी हाइलाइट करूछि देखो, this is the margin of a bay. In these two lines, the poet says that the daffodils were spread out in a long line that seemed to have no end. Daffodils फूल माने एक दीर्घ श्रृंखलारे छिटी जाइथिले जार कौनसी शेष ही देखा जाउ नथिला. एमिति आमे कहि परिबा कि आखि जेते दूर पर्यंत जाई पारुथिला सेते दूर पर्यंत खाली daffodils ही daffodils देखा जाउ थिले. And they were beautifully glowing along the edge of a bay. And bay, I have already told you, it's a part of a lake or sea forming a beautiful natural border. So ए जो सुंदर फूल माने गोटे ह्रद रो धार रे बा जो उपसागर रो धार रे लागी कि रहिथिले जहा एक सुंदर प्राकृतिक दृश्य सृष्टि करूथिला. 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. Here sprightly means lively and energetic. In the last two lines of stanza 2, the poet says, he saw thousands of daffodils at one single look. This shows their huge number. Students glance माने आखि बंद करके खोलिले जहाँ तमे देखि पारिबो, that is one glance. So the writer here says at one glance, जेमिति आखि बंद करके खोलुथिले सिए एका थरकरे से 10,000 flowers को देखि पारुथिले. You know, here hyperbole is used. Hyperbole is again another poetic device or literary device हमें कहि परिबा, जार मीनिंग होची बढ़े चढ़ी कहबा बा एक्साजरेट करके कहबा. एठी देखो गोटे सिंपल जिंस को से केते सुंदर बढ़े चढ़ी के कहिसंती कि 10,000 आई एट अ ग्लांस सॉ. सो हाइपरबोल रो यूज एठी हेची. टॉसिंग देयर हेड्स इन स्प्राइटली डांस. The flowers were moving their heads up and down in a lively and energetic way, as if they were very happily dancing in the wind. जो डैफोडिल्स फूल माने पवन रे खुशी रे मुंड हले हले जीवंत आ उत्साह भरा अंदाज रे नाचिबा परे देखा जाऊ थिले. Summary, stanza 2. In this stanza, the poet compares the endless line of daffodils to the countless stars shining and twinkling in the Milky Way. The flowers seemed to stretch along the edge of the bay without end. He saw thousands of them at one glance. The daffodils were moving their heads in a lively and energetic manner, as if they were joyfully dancing. This comparison highlights the vast number, beauty, and liveliness of the flowers. Stanza 3. The waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. A poet could not but be gay in such a jocund company. I gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth the show to me had brought. The waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. Here, outdid means surpassed or did better than. The poet here says that the waves of the lake were dancing happily beside the daffodils, but the daffodils were even more joyful and lively than the sparkling waves. Daffodil फूल मानक पाखरे थिबा जल तरंग मध्य आनंदरे नाचुथिले, किंतु daffodil फूल गुड़िक तरंग ठारू अधिक खुशी और चंचल लागुथिले. सो आउटडिड मीन्स हराई देबा. एठारे डैफोडिल फूल गुड़िक तांकर जो आनंद तांकर जो खुशी थिला सेटा तरंगर खुशी को हराई देले. A poet could not but be gay in such a jocund company. Jocund means cheerful and light-hearted. Gay again means to be happy. In these lines, the poet says that he could not help but feel happy in the cheerful and joyful company of the daffodils. एपरी आनंदमय और हसुथुवा सांगत्य थाई कवि निजको खुशी हेबारु रोकी पारिले नाही. एते सुंदर सिनेरी देखिला परे कवि निजको केमती बा अटके पारि थांते. Obviously he will become very very happy. I gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth the show to me had brought. Wealth here refers to a great value or benefit, ba sampada in Odia. In these lines, the poet says that he kept looking at the beautiful scene for a long period of time, but at that moment he did not realize how valuable this sight would become to him later in life. कवि दीर्घ समय पर्यंत से सुंदर दृश्य को चाहि रहिथिले, किंतु सेतेबेले एहा तांको जीवन पाए केते बड़ मानसिक संपद हेई परिबो से भाबी पारिले नाही. I gazed and gazed. Gazed means to watch something intently, to look at something very closely. But little thought से समय से भाबी पारिले नाही कि तांको जीवन पाई a show. The show means से दृश्य केते बड़ मानसिक धन हेई पारिबो. Summary, stanza 3. In stanza 3, the poet describes how the daffodils danced more joyfully than the waves beside them. spreading a cheerful and light-hearted feeling. The poet felt very happy in this company of daffodils and kept gazing at them. He did not realize at first how valuable and enriching this beautiful scene was for him. Stanza 4. For oft when on my couch I lie, in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude. And then my heart with pleasure fills and dances with the daffodils. For oft when on my couch I lie, in vacant or in pensive mood. Here, couch means a sofa, a resting place. Lie means to relax. Vacant means empty, without thoughts. Pensive means engaged in deep thought or full of thoughts. In these lines, the poet says that often, when he lies resting on his couch, relaxed and free from work, he is either in a vacant mood, or his mind is empty, or in a thoughtful mood, which he calls as his pensive mood. कवि कहती कि प्रायतः से जेतेबेले निज काउच उपरे विश्राम करबा पई जांती विश्राम करती सेतेबेले कविंक मन बेले बेले खाली थाए बा निष्क्रिय थाए किंबा अधिक चिंता बा चिंताशील अवस्था थाए. They flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude. Here, flash upon means to come again. Inward eye means the imagination or the mind's eye. So suddenly, the image of the daffodils appear vividly before his inner vision, before the writer's imagination. हठात कवि कहती कि डैफोडिल फूल मानकर से जो सुंदर दृश्य जहाँ से पास्ट रे एक्सपीरियंस करथिले से कविंकर मनोचक्षु सामने उज्जवल भाव में देखा जाए. सो कवि कहती कि से जो मनोरम दृश्यर स्मृतिटा अच्छी जोड़ा गोटे अभूला स्मृति तांको पाई से स्मृति तांको एकाकित्वर आनंद और शांति मध्य दे थाए. एंड देन माय हार्ट विथ प्लेजर फिल्स एंड डांसेस विथ द डैफोडिल्स. The writer says, as a result, then his heart becomes filled with happiness and delight. Then his heart seems to dance joyfully along with the daffodils in his imagination. देखो ताहार परिणाम रे कवि कहती कि ताहार परिणाम रे कवि को हृदय आनंद रे पूर्ण हो जाए एवं जेतेबेले तांको हृदय आनंद रे पूर्ण हो जाए बिकॉज ऑफ द डैफोडिल्स से मध्य तांको इनवर्ड आई रे बा तांकर स्मृति रे से फील करती कि से मध्य डैफोडिल्स मानक सहित झुमी उठुचंती बा नृत्य करुचंती. Summary stanza 4. In this stanza, the poet explains how the memory of the daffodils continues to comfort and inspire him whenever he lies alone on his couch in a thoughtful or vacant mood. The beautiful image of the dancing daffodils suddenly flashes in his mind. He calls this inner vision the inward eye, which is the true joy of solitude. In those quiet moments, remembering the cheerful scene fills his heart with deep happiness, and his heart seems to dance along with the dancing daffodils once again.